What's up, y'all? One Piece One Life here, and so, as some of you may know, I'm creating my very own One Piece sequel. Yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's set 5 years in the future in an alternate timeline from when Luffy becomes the Pirate King at the end of the original series. And yes, I'm aware that the series is not over. Thank you for telling me anyways. Now, in my story, one thing that people point out as really liking or thinking that it's an interesting concept, especially with how prevalent it's becoming now in the original series, is the dupli system that I introduced. See, dupli is short for duplication fruit, the name that Vegapunk gave to the series of devil fruits that he artificially mass produces. This makes it so that more than one person in the story can have the same power. You want the powers of the Mera Mera no Mi but don't want to kill Sabo? That's easy. Just find and eat a Mera Mera dupli or buy it from somewhere. There's bound to be more than one. But even with duplis being the new flashy feature, the thing that I still love doing more than anything else, the thing that drove me to the original One Piece stories, is devil fruits. Part of the hype of meeting new characters for me is seeing what wacky or overpowered ability they're gonna have. As such, I made sure as much as possible to include all kinds of new devil fruits for the characters in my story. Some of them really amazing, creative, strong, and others not so much. And so that's what I want to go over today. The top 10 fruits that I personally have created for One Piece Grand Journey, because some of them are crazy. But before we get into it, guys, please, y'all know the drill. Like the video, subscribe to the page for more One Piece content just like this, and share it around with all your friends who love One Piece. Let's get it going. I'm also going to take off my jacket. It's incredibly hot. So the first thing I want to mention is that for the majority of the fruits that I'm going to be talking about in this video, I'm not going to be spoiling or talking necessarily about the specific person who uses them if they have not yet been revealed in my story. A bit of a shameless plug here. If you want to read the story and know whether they've been revealed or not, you can use the link in this description and go and read the story over on Archive of Our Own, which is where I post it every Monday and Thursday. Or you can go to the channel in general and there will be links taking you there as well. Second, I just quickly want to go over the classifications for paramecias, just because I know that at times it can be confusing what power is classified under what, especially since paramecia can be a whole range of things. So I'm just going to explain how I decided to classify them. So broadly, there are 4 classes, and these are body paramecias, which are paramecia abilities that alter or affect the user's own body; substance paramecias, which are paramecias that allow one to generate and use non-elemental substances, with the difference between them and logias being that they can't actually transform their body into that substance, whereas logias can. Surrounding paramecias, which are abilities that can in general affect the environment or surrounding around the user instead of the user themselves. And special paramecias, which are paramecias that mimic the structures or abilities of multiple different classes. So body, surrounding, substance, special. We got all that? Good. Now, before I get into the top 10, I want to start with 2 honorable mentions. The first is the Teki Teki no Mi, or the enemy fruit. Name still pending. English name anyways. It's a surrounding paramecia ability that allows the user to look into the minds of whoever they're fighting, see who their greatest enemies have been, and materialize those enemies to fight on the user's side. Now people may be asking, is this broken? Oh yes, it can be. So when I, for example, peer into your mind and see your greatest enemy, I can materialize that enemy as an entity known as a memoir. Now the funky thing about memoirs is that they'll have the stats, skills, memories, and most importantly, abilities of the original person. Yes, even if that person is dead, and even if somebody else has their devil fruit. So if I had this fruit and I used it on Garp, one could say that some of Garp's greatest enemies include Shiki, Whitebeard, or even Rocks, and I could revive those people even if they're dead, and they'll have all the memories they had up till that point, and the devil fruits, strength, haki, everything that they had. Now there are some disadvantages, because it's kind of broken. One is that with a strong enough drive, or I guess an absorbent amount of Conqueror's haki as well, the memoirs can literally just shatter out of fear. And if that happens, it usually takes time before that memoir can be used again. It also drains the user, but also interestingly, if the memoir version of the person comes into contact with the real version of the person, the memoir will also shatter because it doesn't have a basis of what that person is like now. All in all, It's an interesting paramecia that I think I've come up with. And continuing on the surrounding paramecia train is the Kusho Kusho no Mi, also known as the Void Void fruit. As I said, this is a surrounding paramecia, and it allows the user to create purple pockets of space known as voids. Now these pockets of space connect space to each other. So for example, if I created a void here and a void here, those spaces would be connected. Anything that I put through the void here will come out of the void here. This devil fruit was eaten by Deville Cruella, the strategist of the main character's crew. And just by virtue of Cruella being one of the main characters, you already know you're gonna see this ability a lot. Now, as with any space manipulation ability, you know that there's gonna be a whole lot of applications for this. Probably her greatest strength in using it is that it also just by default allows access to her own pocket dimension. In that pocket dimension, she can store weapons, books, items, anything that she wants really, and literally pull them out whenever she wants. So I guess think of a better version of the pocket fruit that one guy on Whitebeard's crew has. She can create portals to anywhere that she can physically see right now, and with an advanced application can even travel to other islands or other places in the world that she's been to before. Though if she can't see it accurately, doesn't remember what it looks like, etc., it would be hard to get there. Another battle application is to absorb incoming attacks and even return them to sender. This is another one that, as the story goes on, there'll just be more applications of it. So tune in to see it. Now, getting into the top 10, we have a Logia that I low-key thought would have already been in the story by now. Of course, I'm talking about the Iwa Iwa no Mi, or the Rock fruit. This Logia, as the name suggests, allows one to create, control, and become rocks, the earth. You know, just an earth element Logia. And immediately people will think, well, hey, that already exists because Pika has the Ishi Ishi no Mi. That's where you're wrong. See, the Ishi Ishi no Mi is actually a paramecia type fruit, and it's a stone assimilation power. In other words, it doesn't work if there ain't no stones in the surrounding. But this fruit doesn't have that problem. With it, you can create massive rock slides that come tumbling down on opponents, create huge structures out of rock like walls, barriers, cages, things that would be really hard to break out of, especially if armament hockey is applied on top of it. And then of course you have the standard Logia intangibility. In my story, it was eaten by this man here, Duane. In my story, it was eaten by this man here, Duane, who was so strong that he was once invited to be one of the 7 warlords, but declined. So this kind of just goes to show you the base kind of powers that we're dealing with here. Moving right along and continuing on the Logia train, we have the Nova Nova no Mi, or the Nova Nova fruit. This Logia allows you to create, control, and become pure, raw energy. And now people may be asking, how are we defining energy in One Piece where there's so many different kinds of energy, and even hockey can be counted in that, devil fruit essence, whatever. How are we counting it? Energy is simply the kind of energy that we talk about in Marvel when they say this is an energy blast attack. That's what we're talking about. So the user of this fruit can, first of all, use the energy to fly. They can create beams of light that, pierce and explode. Destructive blasts coming from both hands. Condense that energy into something like a big bang. Not to mention, they can also absorb energy from other things and use it to power themselves up, or impart energy that they have into another. In the grand scheme of my story, this fruit's user is actually going to be appearing fairly soon. Now, moving on to a fruit that may not even get serialized until next year, we have the Nashi Nashi no Mi, or the Talk fruit. Now, of course, this comes from the Japanese word hanashi, which is story, talk, that general vibe. The Nashi Nashi no Mi is a surrounding paramecia ability that allows its user to talk things into existence. Yes, you heard me right. We're doing a better version of Inumaki's power from JJK. When I say you talk things into existence, it isn't general concepts, which is going more along the lines of what Inumaki can do. The user can say a pen, and a pen will appear. Or the user can say a golden sword with bullets shooting out of its pommel, and that's exactly what it'll create. So as you can imagine, this fruit's abilities is literally only limited by one's imagination. The thing that you want to make doesn't need to be said out loud in order for you to manifest it. So one way people can take advantage of that is by silencing you.
Hey, editing me here, and I actually forgot one thing. Another downside to the fruit ability is that you need to generally know the composition of what it is you're making, and because of that, creating organic things is practically impossible. At least living things like animals and other humans or people.
But honestly, if that's the only downside besides the regular devil fruit downsides, I think this is another one that just has general utility that I would definitely go for. Sliding right along in 7th place, we have the Hito Hito no Mi Mythical Model Genie. This is not even the last mythical zone you're going to see on this list. Now, this ability allows one to transform themselves into a genie. You know, the rubbing of the lamp kind. So of course they gain a really durable body, extra muscles, all of that. But the way I'm interpreting the 3 wishes is what's really interesting. Because see, everyone knows that the genies have 3 wishes that they grant their users. So because of that, these 3 wishes are going to manifest in the 3 powers or forms that the user can go to, in addition to the hybrid and full beast forms. And these forms are Engine, which allow the user to control fire, Fujin, which allow the user to control wind, and Raijin, which allows the user to control electricity. Do you get a really durable body and 3 Logias in one? Yeah. Is it broken? Kinda. Is it a great concept? I think so. You know a devil fruit that I wouldn't go for even though it is broken? Well, that would be our next entry, the Uma Uma no Mi Mythical Model Unicorn. And no, I'm not talking about this unicorn that already exists in the series. This is a mythical zone ability that allows its user to, transform into a unicorn. So already byproduct of zone transformations, the user becomes tougher when they transform, generally. So they'll gain the hoofs and especially the horn, which definitely can be used to stab. But the true power of this devil fruit comes from its mythical aspect. As we know, all mythical zones have a mythical aspect of some kind that grants them a almost paramecia-like ability on top of their zone transformation. But the paramecia ability of this fruit grants it 4 abilities. Because on a broad scale, what the mythical unicorn fruit allows you to do is magic. But see, that magic is classified in 4 different ways. You have teleportation, telekinesis, telepathy, and transmutation, the ability to change matter from one form into another. So just by product of it having multiple abilities, kind of like Law's Ope Ope no Mi or Sugar's Hobby Hobby no Mi, it's immediately going to bolt to the top of the list of most people's devil fruits. Not mine, because no matter how great those bonuses are, I will not become a unicorn. Now breaking into the top 5, we have another paramecia, and this is going to be the Apu Apu no Mi, or the Boost Boost fruit. Apu in this context coming from upgrade, which upgrade and boost kind of have similar connotations. This is a surrounding paramecia ability that allows the user to boost the stats of whatever they want. In general, the things that you can boost are the stats that one would usually associate with, RPG games. So, strength, speed, vision, durability, dexterity. But skilled enough users can even boost things like hockey usage and add just other kinds of properties that shouldn't even really make sense but just do. Properties like sharpness, explosivity, reactivity, electrocution, acidity, all possible with this fruit. You want a book that when it goes in water doesn't get completely drenched? You can boost it to be waterproof. You can boost a rock's durability so that if you're hiding behind it to dodge, it can't be broken by even some of the strongest attacks. So at its core, it doesn't sound that strong, but especially for creating an army, this could be the best fruit for that, even better than the Kobu Kobu no Mi that Bello Betty has. Number 4 fruit here is going to be another surrounding paramecia, but this one truly is what I believe to be one of the strongest I've made, and that's going to be the Saigai Saigai no Mi, or the Disaster Disaster fruit. Again, workshopping the name. As the name implies, the Saigai Saigai no Mi is an ability that allows the user to generate natural disasters, making them a disaster human, quite literally. So as long as you think of it as being a natural disaster, oh yeah, this power can make you use it. Typhoons, hurricanes, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, mudslides and rock slides, thunderstorms, wildfires, even a meteor shower. In terms of pure destructive ability, Oda has gone on record saying that the Magu Magu no Mi has the highest offensive power, but compared to a fruit that can literally create meteor swarms? But would you believe me if I said that that isn't even comparable to this next entry? Because ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to talk about the Uo Uo no Mi mythical model Apocalypse Dragon. Yes, it's based on Acnologia. So this mythical zone ability allows the user to transform into a huge, and truly huge, black Western dragon. So already you get the benefits of being a dragon, you know, wings for flight, large size, sharp teeth, durable scales. But the mythical aspect of this fruit, this plays really well into specifically One Piece. The mythical aspect of this fruit allows the user to manipulate haki. Yes, haki. The user can manipulate their own haki to create all sorts of devastating energy-based attacks. Everything that I said the Nova Nova no Mi can do, this can do, but probably better. In addition, they can absorb other people's haki by eating it. And on top of that, it has its own breath attack, kind of like Kaido's Boro breath. But instead of being fire, it's just pure, raw haki power. So strong that if the person themselves has Conqueror's haki, it's knocking out the majority of people. Now that we're getting into these upper echelons of fruits, you can kind of start guessing at who may have these powers. And that's going to be the exact same for the number 2 spot on my list, because I'm giving this to the Jinsei no Mi, also known as the life fruit. Now, interesting thing about the Jinsei no Mi right off the bat, it's a bit like the Gomu no Mi in that it was renamed by the government, or I guess rather just by the people in the story. Because see, its actual name is in fact the life fruit, because it's a paramecia that allows the user to control life essence. However, because the way that the user uses it is by taking other people's life essence away, killing them, over the years, people have feared this person as having the death fruit. Now immediately I say the death fruit, and people I know are gonna freak out.
Does that mean that this person has a insta-kill against anybody in the world?
To be fair, against most people, yeah. But then again, so does Big Mom. Let's not forget that against fodder, Big Mom's powers are one-hit kills, and this is gonna be no different. The user can easily snatch away the life force of anybody significantly weaker than them, or anyone that doesn't have strong wills, aka fodder. But interestingly, kind of like Big Mom's power, the less you fear the user, the less it'll actually affect you. And if you don't fear them at all, you won't even be affected. In addition to, of course, you know, haki shenanigans, where we know that strong enough haki can block out effects of certain fruits. But that isn't the only reason why the life fruit is so powerful, because it can also give you eternal youth. And the way that it does that is because when you take other people's life essence, you can put that into yourself, thereby increasing the years that you live. Do this enough times, do it indefinitely, and you're living indefinitely. The drawback for this though is that if you are knocked out in any way, all of that life is gonna come rushing out of you at once. So guys, we have things that can create devastatingly powerful shockwaves or explosions, things that let you become some of the most dangerous creatures known to mythology. A fruit that literally lets you control life and death. So what, you may be asking, could be the number 1 devil fruit that I believe I created? Well, what about one that lets you do literally all of it? And no, I'm not talking about just the god fruit. I'm talking about the Mimi no Mi, or the mimic fruit. Yes, we have a copying ability in One Piece. The Mimi no Mi is a special paramecia that allows the user to copy the abilities of any actual devil fruit users that they come into contact with. It immediately sounds broken, so let me explain how it works. It allows you to absorb the essence of whatever devil fruit you come into contact with. So for example, if I had the fruit and I touched Luffy, I would be able to copy his Gomu no Mi and use it for myself. However, when I touch somebody else, like Robin for example, to copy her Hana no Mi, Luffy's Gomu no Mi exits my body, and I can no longer use that because I've copied a new fruit. So essentially every time you copy a new one, it gets rid of the one that was last copied. You can also get rid of the one that you're currently copying, but you still have devil fruit abilities, so it's not like that's gonna make you immune to the weaknesses of devil fruit users or anything. So already it's pretty strong, because all you need to do is go up and tap any devil fruit user and you'll gain their power. But the reason it's number 1 is because of how broken the awakening is. I just said that you can only have 1 power at a time based off of the rules of copying, but obviously the awakening is going to change that. The awakening of the Mimi no Mi allows a storage bank for all the devil fruits that you've ever come into contact with. Basically what it means is that you can keep storing the devil fruits of all the people you come into contact with and whip out any devil fruit you need for any situation. You can even combine powers to create new powers, or just synergize powers that really work well together. The person who has this fruit hasn't appeared yet and won't appear for a pretty long while, but when you do, you'll see exactly what I mean. Now see, that's incredibly broken, so I had to give it somewhat of a drawback. That drawback being, in order for you to copy an ability, it has to be from a person who ate the actual devil fruit. What this means is that if there are 3 Maramara users, one of them is Sabo, and the other 2 are Dupli users, I won't get the power from copying a Dupli. So as you can imagine, depending on one's access to people with devil fruits around them, this fruit may not be as useful as the brokenness makes it seem. But again, if you've gotten to the level where you're awakening it, that's not going to be a problem for you. So yeah guys, that was the top 10 devil fruits that I think I made. And I can't lie, I'm going to pat myself on the back for them. Did they have bases from other series? Of course, but we're not making up powers that have never existed in media before. What I really want to hear is you guys' opinions on these though. What was your favorite devil fruit from the list that I provided? Do you have any ideas for devil fruits you think I should include? Drop them down in the comments and be loud. I would love to see your ideas. So that's the end of the video, y'all. Now please, guys, y'all already know what to do. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel for more One Piece Grand Journey content just like this. Share it around with all your friends who love One Piece. Remember, I'm trying to make a community, but I need your help to do it. That's gonna be all from me, guys. I'll see y'all next week. And always remember, one piece, one life. You know, in the comments, also put where you think I inspired a lot of these powers based on. I'm interested in seeing if my inspirations are noted. 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, listen, so what if half of the top 10 has a basis in Fairy Tail? I like Fairy Tail, okay? Sue me.